Okay, so we people will be joining us.
Yeah.
Maybe we
Mm-hmm.
need to
We're gonna have more.
get
Yeah,
going.
absolutely.
So I'll stop talking
Yes.
now.
No, it's okay. It's great to see few few more new faces. So welcome
Yeah.
to you all. Welcome to our regular participants and all our new participants today. So thank you for joining again. So for today's session, today's topic is building on what is strong. So we'll be focusing on shifting the mindset from simply fixing problems to actively recognizing, developing, and unleashing strengths. So what's in it for participants today? So participants will learn to reframe challenges as opportunities, discover how to lead by amplifying strengths in themselves and others, and gain practical tools to shift from deficit thinking to possibility thinking. Today we'll be, having conversation with our very own Om Dhungel. So we'll get onto that a bit later. So before that, just a quick introduction about myself. So I'm an entrepreneur, ex-IT executive by profession, and a life coach. So I'm working currently with Om Dhungel in managing this strength-based leadership community group. So we run live sessions every fortnight, and we've been doing this, I think, now for since
Since August.
August, since
Yeah.
August. So it's exciting. I'm absolutely loving this space, and I always look forward to this session every fortnight. And again, it's really nice to see, new faces every time, and it's just growing. So it's very exciting. So thank you all for your support and for joining us today, right? So before we begin, I would like to acknowledge the traditional custodians of the land we are meeting on today and pay my respects to their elders, past, present, and emerging. So if I can also invite you all to, introduce yourself in the chat, perhaps state your name, where you're joining us from, and and I guess what are you grateful for today? So if you can share your what's in your mind, what are you grateful for, that would be great. Just feel free to pop that in the chat group. So thanks for that. So we will, I'm sure we're gonna, so just, just for the new participants today. So the way we structure this session, we usually do a quick introduction, then we'll have conversation with our guest speakers for about 20 minutes or so. Then we'll move into a breakout session where everybody gets to just share their thoughts, anything where there's a prompt question that we will put in the chat group. So you discuss about that. We come back and we reflect on it, and basically just ask any questions that you may have for the guest, and we conclude the session. So that's pretty much really that, and it's very much like interactive. We're trying to make sure we encourage everybody to share their thoughts, anything that you want. So it's a very interactive session. So don't feel shy to ask any questions. Put your hand up, and yeah. So that's about the format. So thanks again. So I guess with that we'll move straight on to our next section, which is just having a conversation with our guest speaker, which is today it's Om Dai. Om Dhungel, I call him Dai. Dai means, just for some of you who doesn't know, Dai means brother, elder brother in Nepalese language. So it just comes out as Dai. Yeah, so, okay. So like I said, today's conversation is all about leading with strengths, seeing possibility rather than problems. So I'm very much delighted to be joined by Om Dhungel, who is an author, speaker, and founder of the Strengths-Based Leadership Community Group. So, a little bit about Om's journey from Bhutan to Blacktown is one of resilience, transformation, and service. He's been a very strong advocate for community empowerment and leadership that starts from within. So, Omdai, thank you very much for joining the conversation today.
Thank
So,
you.
so if I can begin by asking you a question. I know that you very much passionately talk about the strengths-based approach, and I know, and which is the reason why you've started this community group, right? So can you tell us where it all started for you and what it really means in practice?
Thank you, Sarah. And thank you, everyone, for joining this Strength-Based Leadership Community Group session. This is more of a movement. And I believe this is a movement, we will be, working towards, driving change that will change the way we live our lives in the future. uh, uh, we have a very strong or powerful vision with this community group. So I really invite you all to be very actively involved in this in part of this movement. So thank you all for making the time to join us today. Now, where it all began, Sarah, I can say that it didn't really begin in any training room for sure. I think it all began in refugee camps in Nepal. Now, there's nothing to celebrate about being a refugee, but what I've learned is, there's so much to celebrate about the learnings from it. So, this is where, my sort of journey has begun. When when I, along with over 100,000 Bhutanese, fled our country, Bhutan, and became refugees in Nepal, we lost everything. That's what we thought. But something remarkable happened in those refugee camps. Very soon, we realized that we hadn't lost the capacity to love and care for each other. Doctors and nurses who had fled the country, they started taking care of the elderly, the sick, and the children. Teachers started tree schools. And people often ask me, what's tree schools? They were simply classes run under trees because we didn't have any classrooms. Carpenters and masons, they started helping people to build their huts. And everybody pitched in every way they could. Now,
Mm.
we couldn't really apply for funding as we do here in Australia. Rather, we had to look for, who knows what, who can do what skills do we have in the community, help mobilize that and look after each other. Now, I share this story because that's when I realized there's strength everywhere, even in a crisis. We just have to nurture it. So for me, strength-based leadership simply means shifting from asking what's wrong to what's strong, shifting from asking what are the problems to looking at what's working well here, help people to do more of it, and build from there. We still address needs, but by focusing on strengths. So I'm going to leave it there for now.
Thank you. That's very, very inspiring. I really love, I was just writing it down, I was just capturing, a few things that you said there, shifting from what's wrong to what's strong. So that's very, very powerful, that sentence, what's wrong to what's wrong, right? What's wrong to what's wrong. So uh, I really love that. And that
And
really,
we all
it's
have
very
something strong,
catchy.
Sarah.
We
Sorry.
do. Yeah.
Yeah, we do have, every one of us, we see that we have something strong. We have some strengths, whatever the situation may be. So
Yeah,
just
yeah,
focus on that
absolutely.
shit. Yeah,
Yeah, just focusing on that. I know we all, I mean, we're human being and I think we all have problems, right? I mean, that's part of life.
yeah.
And we if we always get stuck about just, just feeling sad about our problems and
Mm,
just not doing anything about it, and I think life is just not going to move forward, right?
yeah.
So it's about just focusing on looking at, yeah, that's, the strengths. So, and I really love how you said about everybody has strength and we just have to nurture it, right? So that's very powerful. So thanks for sharing that. But I just want to also ask, I mean, how did you, I know perhaps it sounds like it's a cliche, but how did you actually apply it I mean, in your life? I mean, is there a moment where it just, clicked, all right, okay, I mean, we know this.
Mhm.
There's one thing about knowing, and there's other about actually applying it, right? And applying it actually consistently. So is there a
I
moment
guess,
that you could
yeah.
share where you perhaps have applied it in your life?
Yeah, I think it wasn't really a choice, I guess. Like when you become
Yeah,
refugee, you've lost everything. Start looking at,
sure.
like we had two choices. One was to sort of say, hey, we've lost everything and blame
Mm,
whoever had wronged us, like blame the king or the government and, keep talking about it. And we realized that, we were going downhill every single day. And the other way to look at was, we had to normalize life.
mm,
And I think COVID taught us that as well.
yeah.
So for us,
Hmm.
dealing with COVID was a lot more easier, I guess, because, we had gone through this a few times in the past. So when we lost everything, we must survive in a survival mode.
Hmm.
We knew what to look for. So there wasn't so much a panic. So when we became refugees, we started sort of, if this happened, like, we are able to do that, then we said, okay, let's explore further.
Yeah.
So when we have this young people, we ask them, like, what did you do back home? And somebody would say, I studied up to year eight, and here I am now. Or I finished year 10, and I can't study anymore. So that was the first thing. Like we wanted to get the young people back to school. So building on what they aspire to do, what they love to do, we started going out and looking for help. One was, of course, the teachers didn't want to leave them by themselves, so they started, like we were talking about, how do we
Mm,
start schools, and we didn't have a classroom. So some of the teachers said, "Hey, I'll start my class under that tree because we needed a shade. Like it is very hot there. At least we need some shade." So one said, like, I'll run my class 7 there under that tree. Somebody else said, I'll run under that tree. So that's how that tree school started. And
yeah.
similarly, other things started happening. It was built on. Like, say, for example, myself, I'm a telecom engineer. I was, like a fresh young telecom engineer, become a refugee. My skills were totally not required. We didn't have
Mm.
mobile phones there, no phones in a refugee camp. So I was totally unemployable. But
Yeah.
somebody picked up on me and said, hey, Om, you can talk. Maybe you should base yourself in Kathmandu, start lobbying with different governments. And that's what I did. Like I could speak in English and, lobby with different governments together with other colleagues. We stationed
Yeah.
ourselves and lobbied. So based on our own strengths and skills that we had, we started
Mm,
applying those. So
mm,
whoever could manage the camps, they stayed in the camps, and we had an administrative structure, camps, sectors and subsectors, and so we had built an administrative structure to run the camps.
yeah.
And later on, even like UNHCR had a number of visits because they were considered as one of the best run camps in the world. So we built on everybody's strength and focused on whatever strength we had in areas that we were strong at. And as a result of that, like yes, we couldn't go back to Bhutan. We were hoping to go back to Bhutan, but we moved from, when we were doing advocacy, we were also doing adversarial advocacy. We were complaining about what was wrong, what the government is doing, and that
Right.
wasn't working. So what we did was we flipped that to diplomatic advocacy. We started focusing on what would be common between Australian government and Bhutan government. And we compliment the Australian government for doing something good in Bhutan. And then
Hmm.
we approach them and we also ask them to, hey, can you fund us to run our schools? And they were one of the first ones to do that. So similarly, we
Wow.
applied that, diplomatic advocacy and lobbied with different governments. And as a result of that, plus, a lot of efforts from UNHCR and different countries, over 100,000 Bhutanese refugees have been resettled in 8 different countries in the world now. So that's a big sort
Right.
of achievement, I guess.
Oh, that's awesome. So, I mean, I love diplomatic applying that theory, diplomatic advocacy, right?
Yeah,
It
moving
works,
from
I guess,
adversarial advocacy to diplomatic.
to diplomatic
Yeah.
advocacy, and
Mm,
you're to talking them, telling them, okay, what they're doing good for
yeah.
us and for the community, and then
Yeah.
you get that
Engage
from
them.
them. Yeah,
Yeah.
you get more engagement from them. So
Yeah.
that's awesome. I guess you did touch a little bit about why it's important, right?
Yeah.
To why it is important or even necessary to take the,
Mm,
I mean, why I think we touched a little bit
mm,
about why its importance, but I
yeah.
guess can you tell us a little bit like a bit a bit
Mm,
more,
yeah.
expand on its
Yeah.
importance,
Yeah.
especially in a community development and the leadership,
Yeah.
applying the
Okay.
strength-based approach.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you. Thank you. I think I could do that from two perspectives. One, let's look
Mhm.
at the government side. Like, a few years ago, I was looking at my tax return statement, and as a typical analyst, I am like, I like to dig numbers and find a story behind the numbers. And what I found was the government, currently spends about one third of its revenue on welfare. So the
Mm.
government has a huge commitment to, uplift people and help people, live a good life. But then I also found that during crisis, during, situation like COVID, the spending goes up. And that's the least time we can least afford, because that's the time we don't have any revenue,
Mm.
or revenue goes down because of the crisis. Yet the requirement goes up. And given
Correct.
we adopt a need-based approach at the moment, like, it's a top-down need-based approach, we look at what are the needs in the community and, trying to meet those needs. And through that approach, as I said, government currently spends one third of its revenue on welfare, and it's growing at about 2.6%, almost 3% every year. So that's clearly not sustainable. So, firstly, we need to look at ways to do things differently. And perhaps we need to move from that top down, need based approach to a bottom up, strength based approach. And we have applied that in different situations, and it works really well. So that's the first thing. From a community from a personal or a community level, if you focus on a need based approach, there's a sort of unintended consequences of creating dependency.
Mm.
You start meeting needs, you give more, and there's need for more to be given. So to avoid that situation, if you flip that approach, if you start focusing on people's strengths and assets, so you empower them, and then they are part of building that community. So we wanted to experiment this within the Bhutanese community. When the Bhutanese refugee settlement started in 2008, we thought, okay, let's experiment this and see if we can apply a different approach to this. So when people started arriving, we would go and receive them at the airport, but immediately we want them to be engaged, in helping others. So firstly, like, people had to get employment, people had to, learn language skills, etc., etc. But at the same time, active involvement of the community was very important. So as an example, like, we brought people together and, had a conversation and started focusing and asking them, hey, what do you love doing? What did you do back in the camp? So we started focusing on what people did back in the
Mm.
camp, or what their passion was. Say, for example, we were, having conversations with the young people and said, what do you like doing? And there were a lot of overwhelming, a lot of people, young people who love artwork. So we sort of got them together, and then they were, we also found out there were one or two who were really good artists. Someone had received, a number of awards in the camps, and there was somebody else who had received different awards in the camp. So they were also keen
Mm.
to teach others. So we connected these people, 16 or so, 15 or 16 kids who wanted to learn art, with those two others who were keen to teach. So we made that connection, and off they go. We didn't have to do anything.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like, because they were passionate about teaching, these two would get up at night or whatever, and, they wanted to organize things and, take that initiative. On the other hand, these others were so passionate about learning, and they were quite well recognized artists. They were, quite inspirational people as well. So they were very keen to do that. So we didn't really have to push them to go and attend the classes, etc. So, we had classes going on almost on their own because they were passionate about doing things.
Yeah.
Similarly, we had, people who were teaching back in the camp. They couldn't be teachers here. But then we started spoken English classes. We started
Mm.
running a spoken English school. And those teachers really wanted to teach. And they volunteered and started teaching people who didn't have the language ability. So we
Yeah.
adopted this approach. It's a long story short, we were able to get almost,
Hmm.
what is that? I think within 7 or 8 years, we had 60% house ownership. So meaning, people are able to find work, find employment, develop that borrowing capacity, and then buy a house. And now, I think after 15 years, house ownership within the Bhutanese refugee settlement in Sydney is
Mm.
over 90%, as against
Oh, wow.
70% at the national average. So I think by adopting that strength-based approach, we have been able to achieve some significant results.
That's amazing. Thank you for sharing that story. Thanks,
Thank
Omdai.
you.
So I guess I'm just going to move on to my next question. I know that you often talk about, that leadership actually starts from within, and it's an
Mm,
inside out approach that you always talk about, right?
mm,
So how does self-awareness and inner strength connect to leading and empowering others?
mm. I think for me, it's not so much by choice, but through
It's
what I had to go through. I think
yeah.
that was very, very necessary. Like being self-aware of what you can and cannot do, and
Mm,
that level of mindfulness that I had to bring into deal with life. I think was learned as I went along with a lot of challenges. And I think one of I could perhaps share one story where
mhm,
when I was living in as a refugee in Nepal, I was a little crazy and wanted to do an MBA. That my wife and I sold everything we had, including her jewelry, and had enough money to pay for my, one semester tuition fees, and then managed to come here to Australia. I thought that was great. But then once I landed here, to pay tuition fees as an international student and other struggles was hard enough. And then my properties back home was all confiscated at the government, so I couldn't get anything here. And secondly, to be living away from my loved ones, my wife, my little daughter, she was just 8 years old then, my elderly parents, who were living in the refugee camps. Life wasn't really easy. And at one point in time, it got so bad, I couldn't sleep 5 nights at a stretch. And the next morning, I had to go to work. So first I went to UTS. I had to do some assignment because I couldn't afford a laptop then. I had to go to the library, computer lab and do my assignment there. I went in the morning for a group assignment. After that, I walked to the Coles Express at 400 George Street. When I was crossing George Street and Liverpool Street, because I hadn't slept for 5 nights, my vision started to blur.
mm,
And in that crowd moment, I realized that I had fallen down. And somebody dragged me on the side, and this person could have, saved my life. But, if it wasn't, then, that person certainly, changed my life forever. Now, when that happened, like from that time onwards, I started thinking, what if I was killed that day? What would my daughter say? Would she be proud of a father who had collapsed because he couldn't, you know, manage himself, or my parents, who had high expectations about me? So from that day onwards, I started realizing, no, this is not right. I need to focus on what things that I can control. I
mm,
was then, thinking of all the problems in the world, and like that was overwhelming, and I went through anxiety, and like it was so difficult. I just can't explain how I was going through. And then after that event, I realized, it's not the way to live. Let me try something different. So I started focusing on myself, and I
mm,
had a lot of help from the university, and I reached out to people, and I started getting that spiritual help as well. So I started doing yoga and meditation and started being much more calmer. And I just focus on things that I could control, take control of. I could focus on
Yeah.
doing a few more extra hours when I was on holiday, on leave. So I could earn some extra dollars. And perhaps I could make a phone call to my daughter, or I could, uh, eat better, or I could sleep better and do my exams better and get better results. So I
Yeah.
started now really focusing on things that I could take control of and, you know, didn't really drift away to areas that I couldn't
Mm.
really do anything about. So
Yeah.
that really helped me. And that wasn't easy, but, I really had to make that choice. And I think thanks to a lot of people who helped me during that period, it was very hard, but I became much more calmer, and the way I have approached life is totally different since
Is
then.
different.
Yeah.
Absolutely. That's very, very inspiring. Thank you so much for sharing that story. And I actually must say, I'm particularly, I mean, I did ask that question earlier, right? The prompt about, what you're grateful about. And I must say, I'm very much grateful for you sharing that story because I myself needed that at this very moment because even as a life coach, right? And again, like you said, we think that the world's problem is our problem
Mm,
and
yeah.
all that, right? And I mean, yeah, I mean, you all go through, you have moments in life, and I've had that, and recently I was feeling a bit low about life and all that. Anyway, it happens, right? And
Yeah.
and I and actually that really shifted me actually. So thank you so much,
Yeah.
So
And I think we need to learn
yeah,
to respond rather than react, because a lot of
yes,
times, if you have
yeah,
don't have that stability with
mm,
ourselves,
yeah,
leading that inside out approach means if you are
yeah,
not stable yourself, then we
yeah,
tend to react. And
mm,
then once you are more stable, then you're able
yeah,
to react,
correct.
respond more,
More
appropriately.
respond. Yeah, and
Mm,
absolutely. And perhaps I was again, reacting, to a few things, perhaps,
mm,
so that. And it comes with the practice. You just got to
yes.
keep doing
Yeah.
it. And it becomes, and as a human being, and sometimes, and again, like you said, self-awareness, just being
Mm,
aware about that
yeah.
and doing something about it, right? I think the first and
Mm,
foremost is just being aware.
all
So
right.
thank you so much. And look at you now where you are, right? So
Without the
if you
hair.
perhaps if it wasn't for that moment, I guess who knows, you probably wouldn't be where you are now, right? So I think
Yeah.
every experience in life
Mm,
there's a reason behind it, right? So we really need to appreciate that
yeah.
it's not just the good times, the bad moments as well, right? It's a
Yeah.
learning. We go through that and it only makes you stronger.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I might just add that, one of my biggest realization has been, it's not anger, hatred, or a sense
Mm.
of revenge. Uh, Rather, like service to humanity in the face of adversity, and love, care, and compassion that can transform your life for the better.
Hmm.
And it's not easy, but the choice is obvious.
Absolutely. Yeah. It's not
Yeah.
easy. Yeah, correct. It's easier said than done, but yeah, but it's a choice.
Yeah.
Absolutely. So thanks for that.
Thank
So
you.
with that, and I'm just being mindful of the time, I'm just gonna leave you with one last question. I guess we have, or to, for all our listeners today, um, you know, who actually would want to, who is perhaps seeking to lead or serve differently, right? What's
Mm,
one simple shift they can make today
mm,
to start leading from their strengths right now?
mm. I think we know a lot of things, but sometimes we don't put into practice. So nothing new, but here are some simple things that we all can do, to take, adopt a strength-based approach. Firstly is, whether it's with yourself, with your community, or, like working at work, start by noticing what's already working. we tend to see things, what's broken or what's not working, what's the problem. Let's start noticing what's already working. Instead of asking what's wrong, what's broken, try asking, what's already good here and how can we build on it? That's the first thing. Secondly, appreciate a strength in someone around you. Just say, like, Sara, you are such a good host. You run this so well. Now, I'm saying, not saying this for the sake of saying, but it's a fact. So, and just do that, like if
Mm-hmm.
there's somebody next to you doing something good, or if you see something good in that person, just say that.
Yeah.
Keeping it to yourself doesn't make that person any better, any worse. But if you can share that, if
Yeah.
you just like something, you like
You
somebody's hair,
just, yeah,
like
correct.
me, I like your bald head. Somebody said that, and I thought, wow, that is fantastic. I was a little worried, and my wife says, "Why don't you put on a hat?" But if somebody said, "Oh, you look really good in bald head," I thought that was fantastic. So I ran, and told my wife that I don't need a hat anymore. So just share that, tell
Yeah.
somebody, if they have done something good, like we tend to pick up
Yeah.
things that have
Even
gone, but we
correct.
don't tend to, do that a lot. Because when we focus on what's strong, we go stronger together.
Mm.
So that's the thing. And then finally, self-care. And I think I know so many of you, and I don't think you do that very well. You take care of others. I know many of you are in the service of somebody else, and you're taking care of everybody else, but not yourself.
Mm.
And sometimes that's really important because especially people who work in the community sector, we don't take care of ourselves. And I've realized that, having a very deep conversation with my mentor time and again, you would always ask, "Oh, what's your time with your family, with your wife and your daughter?" I said, "Oh, I really normally take them, when I volunteer there and here." I said, "No, no, no, that's not your time with your daughter, your
Yeah.
time with your wife."
Yeah.
So I just realized I had less than 1% at one point in time. So I had to
Mm-hmm.
really revisit my life and, create that space. So I think it's really important for us to, take care of ourselves. Are we kind to ourselves? Are we too hard on ourselves? Because when something goes wrong, we tend to blame ourselves a lot. You know, if it's a friend, we'll say, "Hey, don't worry, things will be fine." But we don't do that to ourselves. So I want you all to be kind to yourself. And I'll leave
Thank
it.
you. That's very,
Thank
very
you.
powerful. So, thanks for that. And thank you, Omdai, for sharing such an inspiring insights and stories. So, thank you for that. So I guess if today's conversation resonated with you, both Omda and myself would like to encourage you to keep exploring your strengths and to join our strength-based leadership community group if you haven't already joined. So please would like to encourage you to join our group and join our live sessions. We continue to do this every fortnight, like I said earlier. So thanks again. So with that,
Thank
I'm just
you. Thank you
gonna
so much. Sorry,
you're
Novi, can you
welcome.
share that
Pleasure.
link in the
Yeah.
chat, please, for people to join the group?
Sure.
Thank you, Sarah. Yeah.
Yeah, thank you. And I just want to, with that, quickly ask everyone else now. I want to leave the floor quickly to our participants today and ask them what did they like about the session today? If anyone wants to share anything, what they liked about the session, any learnings from the session, that would be great. So please feel free to
Well,
jump in.
I want to say something. Thanks for
Yes.
the great session, As usual, you all
Thank you.
always being great, and I think you are a role model of a refugee person. Nobody can do what you did.
Thank you, Dr.
I
Bushra.
think, I'm still frustrated because I left my country. Still not feeling, something as if something taken from me by force. So I always not to regret. This country is great country, and it's very fair go, freedom, equality. Like that's what we tell our refugees. But inside, I have still a trauma leaving my surgery, my home, it is a complete change. We Iraqis are different from all other refugees. Do you know what? Because Iraq had like 3 wars. And the people that left Iraq, and it was intentionally done after especially after 2003, after the American invasion and the change of the dictatorship. What happened? It was a very well orchestrated, like all the intellectuals, the cream layer of the Iraqis, they left the country. All the doctors, engineers, professors, university teachers, artists, writers, musicians. It was intentionally done to put the country down. And that's what hurting. It's it's a culture shock, It's a culture shock. So I'm as Bushra, I'm leading this big organization and encouraging people to settle, and we're doing our best. So I'm just saying, like, you are a role model of a refugee, like perhaps meditations, or I don't know. You are a teacher. You are a teacher now.
We will work on it, Dr. Bushra, further, because we've got Sara in here and we got Niruta here. Like we have put people together here who can help us with that.
Perhaps
so we will
my children are like, they are now like doing their best and they have their future. But for us, me and my husband is still missing my home, missing missing things. That's it's difficult.
Thank you. Thank you for sharing that, Dr. Bushra.
Thanks for sharing that, Dr. Bushra. Thank you so much. I mean, anyone else want to share what they liked about the session today? Quick reflection, and we'll move on to our next section.
I would like to share.
Yes, Nirita.
I have read Mr. Dhungel's book, From Bhutan to Blacktown. It was very inspiring, and he came as a refugee and rose as a leader in Sydney, and his journey is really inspiring. It just reminds me of what resilience and determination one can achieve. And I like the story about the tree school. It's so inspiring, and it's so out of the box. So that is what I like. And so much of strength, like he didn't sleep for 5 days and still he went to, I think, the library.
Assignment. It's a group assignment.
Like to go through all that and become a leader, it's remarkable.
That's why
I'm so happy I'm part of this session today.
He's a role model, guys. He's a role model.
Thank you, Dr. Bushra. Thank you.
Absolutely. Thank you. Yes, Wayne.
May I mention a couple of things I really liked about the session and some things you said, Om. And first of all, I have to echo Sara's appreciation for your phrase about not looking at what's wrong, but what's strong. Yeah, what's wrong to what's strong. I'm going to be quoting you everywhere. Thank you. And I think I'll have to look into your book too, actually. Very good. That was excellent. What I love about that, and many reasons, I can't really go into all of them here, but this seems to me, and what I found actually, is that it's so essential to facing conflict resolution. We can look at that from the most personal scale to the social, to the business, to political, whatever. And we have conflict all over the world, and not only in large scale, but between human beings, of course, as we know. and what a you moving from that, looking towards strengths, and what really I kind of took a journey while you were speaking. And this journey, okay, so looking for strengths, and we're looking, okay, someone loves teaching, another person loves that. But one of the a core that I found when you were talking was just a little thing you said on that, you know, yeah, we do follow our passions, and you're right, um but because the conflicts are so extreme in some cases, and even when it's really not extreme, something like Sarah said about thinking the world's problems are your own, and we know that, let's say on the social media exacerbates through its sort of narcissistic function, all of the problems, all of the problems we could possibly imagine, that, putting it on our own shoulders. And we tend to do that. And so one of the things you mentioned in that was, you were telling your story about not sleeping and falling down. And sorry about that. And and one of the things you said, you said, I thought of my daughter, and what would she think of me, or would I be, a good father? And I think, okay, well, that resonated with me as the father of a daughter, of course. And but the reason that struck me in what you were saying is because something even deeper. There's even a deeper strength, and the passion that I love for what I do. It is there are even deeper strengths that we can try to touch for people to find that common ground for which to build and recognize. Okay, we have these values. Where can we go? Because there's the world is so rife with conflict, and a lot of it is just manufactured.
Yeah.
So thank you very much for that.
Thank you.
Thanks, Wayne. Thanks for sharing that. Okay, so with that, just looking at the time, we'll quickly move on to a breakout session. We've already created that. So in that session, we have 2 rooms, Changemaker Room 1, Changemaker Room 2. So I'm gonna send you all into random. It's just gonna randomly pick you and admit you into a room. So if you can just share and have a discussion with the people in the room about like a time. If you can share a time where you saw strengths create positivity in your life, perhaps just have a think about, and it doesn't have to be any big or small, any small sort of moment where you've recognized a strength that perhaps may have created some sort of positivity in your life, right? So if you can maybe have a discussion and share your thoughts around that, that would be great. So I'm just going to do that right now. Okay, welcome back, everyone. I know, sorry, it was short. Yeah, so hopefully you did get to talk. It was good enough time for you guys to
Always too short when we're talking together.
I know, and then we ended it. Apologies, I know. Yeah, I just had to be mindful of the time. But anybody want to share anything, insights about what you discussed about the topic?
So I was actually just, or is it? I was about to finish. So in my
Oh,
room, so what we did was we divided the time. We said we are 7 of us and we have 7 minutes. So let's each one of us speak 1 minute. So
wow.
by the time I was the last one, by the time my turn came,
All right.
so
So 7 people
I
in the
started with
room.
like
Okay.
Now that's leadership.
So I was just telling
One minute, 7 minutes. Oh, then
I said we have 7 minutes and we're 7
we
people.
gave 6 minutes, so we missed out the last one.
Yeah. So,
Right.
like Sukriti was the most lucky one to speak for the longest time. Rest all of us kind of realized we have to. I said, okay, let's do it in
I
1
did.
minute.
7 people got
Everyone
in the
got a
room.
chance
Oh,
to
wow.
speak.
Okay. Sorry. Okay. Thanks for that. Anyone, maybe Sukriti?
From
You
the
want to
group.
share anything from the
Group.
I guess everybody, we had 2 of us who were, I mean, most of us were joining for the first time. So we're pretty keen to just observe. I went first to break the silence, and by the time I spoke, it was more than a minute. That's when Niruta came in and said, maybe we should stick to the 7 minutes, but that's okay. I guess, I just wanted to say that, one thing that really we all were talking about was our own personal journeys, where we all looked out for that particular strength to influence, whether it's your family or your co-worker or even yourselves. So I think that is something that was what I would say was quite common throughout what everybody was saying. But Omji, what I would just like to add on, if I may, is
Yes,
thank you
please.
so much for inviting to create this. You talked about focusing on the strength and the fact that you're sharing your story that is leading by example. It takes a lot of strength to share that story. So to be able to come out, share that with us, I must commend you on doing that. And, I do encourage you to share that story with everybody else, because you never know where somebody resonates with your story and gets that strength to look inwards. And looking inwards also takes a lot of strength. That's where we try and always focus on somebody else, because looking inwards to figure out, what we could have is also take a lot of strength. So hats off to you, Omji. I really, truly appreciate you for, starting off this. And I look forward to the coming sessions in the coming days and the weeks as well.
I get truly inspired by what you do, Sukagati, for others you don't know, like, among other things, working for the government and also a counselor in the, board council. So yes, thank you for joining.
Nice. Thank you. Thanks, Sukriti, for sharing that. Okay, so I guess we'll I don't know how I think 7 people got into one room. Anyone from the other room want to share? Since you had a bit more time? No?
Pradeep,
That's okay.
were you in the
You
same
can
room?
share it in the chat. That's okay.
Okay.
Yes, Dai.
Oh, you can share in the chat. Yeah, okay.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you. We're going to go a little bit over. Hope that's okay with you. Was anyone trying to say anything? Sorry.
Yeah, I just wanted to say something.
Yeah,
I was a
sure,
little
go
bit
for it.
late to join because of some reason, but I just found that courage that even if I miss like 15 minutes, I would grab another 45 minutes. So I think that courage too. I was a bit reluctant because I just thought, what would Om Dhungel say? And then
that's strength-based approach.
But yeah, I think exactly. And then I just thought it's a strength-based approach. And then, if I have missed 15 minutes, I would probably gain 45 minutes and I would not want to miss that.
Yeah, I love
In fact, I thought the same thing, I just registered 5 minutes back and I said, oh, how are they going to think like I'm always late? Because last time also I couldn't log in. So I said, but by the way, it's
we don't judge
leadership. So let me have the strength right now to join.
Yeah, absolutely. No, thank you.
And thank God and glad that I attended. That's and good. I'm looking forward to attend this one in the future. I've also joined the community as well. Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you, Pradeep. Thank you so much. Okay.
And Sita is joining with a leg on the thing, I think, like, with a bandaged leg. And thank you for joining. Like, hope you're feeling a little better today.
Hope you're feeling better.
Yeah. Thank you so much for inviting Dai.
Yes.
Yeah, I'm still on the bed, and the what crops or something it says. I don't know its name, but yeah. Thank you for inviting, and sorry I missed last week, and I'm kind of listening, observing everyone, and I just told my group to also I will just listening today.
Okay,
then
good.
Yeah, maybe next session I'll have a more clear idea what I need to say.
Okay.
If you need to see a doctor now, next to you is Dr. Bushra there.
What happened? What's happened? Do you have a trauma? What is it? Is it?
No. Actually, what happened? I have already my right ankle already showed something. I don't know the medical term, but my right foot is not supporting well. And recently,
so do you have fracture or fracture?
Yeah. I just went for morning walk, and usually I don't go, but I don't know why I went that day. And I was about to walk around this park area in I live in Badia,
And
and I thought maybe
your foot
I
twisted,
yeah,
the foot
twisted and
twisted.
yeah.
Perhaps the metatarsal bone. Did you have an X-ray or not?
Yeah, X-ray. They said
It's a
ligament
minor
torn
fracture.
something.
What is
Yeah,
it? Minor
yeah, it is
fracture.
minor fracture and
You should
ligament
wear a
torn. They
boot.
said.
You should wear a boot.
Yeah, I'm wearing that boots.
Yeah, yeah.
And
Good
yeah.
on
And
you.
keep on the
Yeah.
sedation and sedation. Keep yourself sedated. Panadol osteo 3 times daily, and that's it.
You got the
There you go.
prescription. Good on you.
There you
Thank
go.
you.
So
Thanks,
is
guys.
there anything that plaster can fix quicker than this boot?
No, I think no plaster now for the foot. Before it was plaster. Now the boot is very good and it keep your foot very like fixed. The bones are not moving. And just when you have a bath, you can take it off and have a bath, but don't press on it until 4 weeks.
So
4 weeks.
4 weeks, yeah.
One freebie of this session is free consultation.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I'm
definitely.
just
Great
comfortable.
opportunity.
Although I'm retired, but I do.
Yeah, more
I do.
experience
We
and
have a
knowledge.
big
Yeah.
organization in the name of
That's what the community is all
Iraqi-Australian
about. Yeah.
Yeah.
Medical Association, which have 250 doctors, specialists, and GPs, and we all do seminars, health awareness. We do medical conferences, so we keep the doctors, Iraqi doctors, engaged. There are a lot, as I said, the refugees, all the cream layer of the Iraqis, doctors, engineers. This is the bad thing about the refugee ward. It's why the country like displace all its intellectuals. Why? There is a reason.
Right.
I can't say more. There is a reason.
That's amazing.
Every hospital now
Thank
they
you.
are multicultural, multilingual doctor and everywhere.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it's
we
beauty of
lucky.
this
We
country.
lucky. We
Yeah.
arrived to this beautiful country. It's the
Country,
best country
absolutely.
ever. It's the best.
Yeah. Thank you so much for
Okay,
your
thank
guidance.
you. Yeah. All right, we are coming close to our session. So just a little bit about our next session, which is in a couple of weeks' time. So we're going to be talking about in 2 weeks' time. Sorry, yeah, a couple of weeks' time, right? So so we're still talking like in terms of the topic. So we're going to be talking about feeling stuck. So as a life coach myself, so I'm a empowerment and leadership life coach. So as a life coach, I work with my clients to give that safe space for them and to really empower them to lead within themselves, embrace their strengths, which is why it's all part of this as well. So embrace their strengths and lead with power, right? And so that's what I do. And so in our next session, so we will be exploring about how I think most of us could relate is how most of us actually feel stuck in life sometimes. So, and we do tend to procrastinate as well. So in that session, so, I will be that guest speaker. So we'll be switching roles. So Omdai will be Omdai and myself will be having a conversation on the topic. And hopefully I'll be able to give a little bit of guidance and coaching around that topic. So that's going to be the topic for our next session. So which is in a couple of weeks' time. So hope to see you all there back again. So that's about it. And yes, and I must also share that we have something exciting coming up as well. That's sometime in second week of December. So watch this space. We'll be posting a little bit more about that in our community group setting by email. So it's very exciting. It's something that Onda and myself, how we complement each other, and Omdai as a founder of the strength-based leadership community group, and myself as a life coach. So without giving much, I'm just going to leave it at that. So that's coming up. So watch the space. And yeah, so that's pretty much really about it. And Omda, did you want to say something? I think you wanted to add
No,
something.
I think that's it. I just wanted to say a big thank you for everyone's participation. And because this is a short time period we have, we want to continue this conversation. So I think what we can do is join the community group again. Like, we want to grow that group. There's already close to 100 people already, and we want to have that conversation. This is all about, like, firstly, like we talk about so much differences and, like what divides us, but we believe that, what brings us together is far stronger than what divides us. That's the first thing. Secondly, again, we talked about strength-based approach today. It's about building on strengths. It's not about what's broken. Yes, we will still address needs, but it'll be by focusing on strengths. And thirdly, and most importantly, we cannot do things alone. That's why we created this platform. It's your platform. You can use this platform for your personal and professional growth. Like, next session, we'll have Sarah sort of, she's a life coach. She'll take us through, like, her, like expertise and, share her expertise and, help us. So this is what we're trying to bring together, people from different sectors, university, people who work in the university, academics, government officials, people from the community, grassroots community leaders, and people who work in the sector, like different sectors will come together here. And we can start thinking of what we can collaborate on, what we can do things together to magnify things and to amplify the impact of our work. So this is all about, firstly, focusing on our strengths. Secondly, it's on building on strength. And thirdly, working together. So please utilize this platform. Let's have this conversation and we can create a better world. So thank you all.
Thank you. Thank you, Om. Thank you, Sarah.
Thank you.
Thank you. Been very great.
Thank you.
So great.
Thank you.
Thank you, guys. We'll see you in
Yes,
2 weeks.
thank you
Enjoy the
very
rest of
much.
your week.
Thank
See you
you.
next
for
time.
another
Yes, we of
Thank
course
you.
have
inspiring
to-
session.
Thank you.
Bye.
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 Thank you.
Bye-bye.